if it turns out you go through the whole process, the whole convention, Hillary Clinton is the nominee, Bernie Sanders accepts that, endorses her, etc. I interviewed Jill Stein this morning, obviously the likely presidential candidate for the Green Party. They're going to have their convention after the Democrats.
They're super green delegates.
Yes. They don't have any super delegates and they don't have any corporate donors. Now, that is a party that is massively progressive, right? To the left of Bernie Sanders. Would you guys consider voting for the Green Party instead of the Democratic Party?
I mean, honestly, right now I'm focused on California. After California, I'm focused on convention. By the time convention's over, we see things changing every single day in this election at such a staggering rate that I could say, oh, I would vote for this person, or I would feel this way or lean this way. But in a month from now, I don't know how I'm going to feel.
We may not even know who the Republican nominee is.
We may not. Well, it's very hard to speculate in this election. It's been very wacky. It's the wackiest election of my whole life. It's going to get wackier from here. But one thing I do know is that these movements that have been building and gaining a lot of steam from this Sanders campaign, and when I talk about it, you know what I mean? When we go down there and there's, people representing all of these different chapters of this progressive revolution that's happening in America, that's real. And whoever's in the White House is going to be experiencing the power of that. If it's Bernie Sanders, he's going to get it right back from us. If it's Hillary Clinton, she's going to get it from us. If it's Donald Trump, he's definitely going to get it. The truth is that you got to, in many ways, the only way I can think about this in a speculative sense is who would I rather be fighting with in office? You know what I mean? And I remember, in the Clinton years when we were doing protests about the WTO in Seattle, and we were talking about economics. And then all of a sudden here comes, George Bush, and we are fighting wars that should never have been fought. By the way, voted for by Hillary Clinton, but you know what I'm saying? And so the agenda is set, and often that means who are we protesting and what are we protesting? And our economic agenda back in those days got completely derailed by the fact that we had to deal with the Iraq War, and we had to deal with all the other issues that George Bush and Dick Cheney and Donald Rumsfeld basically created for us. So
no, they said that of 9/11, the big loser of 9/11 was the WTO, and the big winner was, obviously, but in terms of politics, and the big winner was Gary Condit. Remember him? He was.
Oh, I remember Gary Condit.
His whole case went away after that.
But honestly, elections are determined by enthusiasm, voter enthusiasm. I went out, and I've been touring the country with my film. I've been to 53 cities. I went out there and I said, if I turned around right now and said, Hillary Clinton, we got to vote for her, what would that do? And I said, would you do it? And then about 2% of people raise their hand and say yes. And I said, well, what would that mean? Would I destroy my credibility completely as a person who's been building this movement for years? And they said, absolutely, it would destroy your credibility. You would be gone. So the truth is, as this wing of the progressive, Democrats who have this enormous power, we have to exercise that power. And I'm really worried about this sinking ship of Hillary Clinton versus Donald Trump, and the poll numbers are rising. I'm very worried about that, because when I've gone out there and talked to people and said, okay, now it's time to vote for Hillary, what do you think? People are just like mad because they feel excluded, and mad because they feel patronized and feel talked down to, and that part of that whole elite mindset that doesn't feel right now. I don't know if there's anything that I could personally do to say, let's change that. That's up to Hillary. Yeah. Hillary has to go and say, I'm going to ban fracking. Hillary's got to say, I apologize for my vote on the Iraq War. Hillary's got to say all of these things and really mean it. And unfortunately, Hillary Clinton has a long history of flip-flopping on things. So she's, in many ways, the worst candidate to accept a reversal of position based on what we have to say, because who will believe it? And also gaining
independent voters, because so many independents haven't been able to participate in this because of the closed open primary system.
Yeah. And that's all the more reason why we go to convention, and all the more reason I still think Bernie Sanders is a much stronger candidate against Donald Trump than Hillary Clinton is.